And welcome back to the Hot Lap. Pretty much breaking news at the time of recording. The BBC's reporting it. PlanetF1.com's reporting it. Lots of people are reporting it. Newey to leave Red Bull over Horner allegations. At least that is the BBC headline that you can see here. Newey to leave Red Bull over the Horner allegations. So let's get into it. So this is from Andrew Benson, once again someone we trust here. Red Bull designer Newey is to leave the team in the wake of the controversy involving the allegations about team principal Christian Horner. Now Newey, regarded as the greatest F1 designer in history, frog in my throat, Anyway, moving on, has told Red Bull that he wants to move on. That's apparently what BBC has learned. Now the 65-year-old, he's been unsettled by the situation since Horner was accused of sexual harassment and coercive, abusive behaviour by a female employee, which, incidentally, Horner denies. Now, Red Bull and Newey did not immediately respond to requests for any comment on this. The British design chief, though, he has been, as we reported and lots of other places reported, strongly linked with Ferrari and is also known to have been made a very nice offer by Aston Martin, but he is likely to be of interest to pretty much every team down the paddock. Now, Newey's contract with Red Bull does last until the end of 2025, but he is said to believe he can negotiate an exit that allows him to work with another team from as early as next season. Now, his desire, the article says, to leave Red Bull, it was first reported in Germany's Automotor and Sport, but the information has been independently verified by BBC Sport with high-level sources close to Red Bull and Newey. They confirm that his desire to leave stems from the unhappiness within this situation involving Christian Horner, which has led to a multifaceted power struggle at Red Bull. The Austrians versus the Thais, it seems. Now, the team cleared Horner, to be fair, of any wrongdoing, and that was after an internal investigation. The complainant, who has since been suspended, has appealed against the decision. Now, Horner and Red Bull advisor Helmut Marko, as we know, are in dispute. At the moment, it is kind of like all quiet on the Western Front. For how long, though, we don't know. And so, Helmut Marko in dispute, as are the main Thai shareholders who backed Christian Horner. And Red Bull in Austria had initially wanted to remove him from the position. Now, Newey has been at Red Bull since 2005. He's overseen two dominant eras, specifically the Vettel era from 2010 to 2014. They won 4 consecutive drivers and constructors titles, and last year Red Bull produced one of the most dominant cars in history, but they've won titles from 2021, the drivers title, and then they took all the gold in 22 and 23 and look to take all the gold this year. Newey has also previously been, had shared championship success at both Williams and McLaren, and Horner on occasions emphasised the strength of the team under Newey, led by the technical director, Pierre Wache, but the design chief remains the brilliant mind responsible for the concept of the team's successful cars, and his departure, quite understandably, is going to be a massive blow. Take Newey out of the equation, how strong is Red Bull in the next few years? Now, it may also further unsettle Verstappen, who is known to have his own misgivings about the team. He's been linked to Mercedes. For example, he's been courted by Toto Wolff. Verstappen, who's under contract, though, to 2028, he's been asked on a number of occasions to offer his full backing to Christian Horner. And he's always kind of, sat on the fence, getting splinters, let's say. But he has repeatedly emphasised his desire to keep the senior team at Red Bull in place, and said at the Chinese Grand Prix last weekend, I signed a long-term deal with the team. The only thing I said from the beginning is we want to have a peaceful environment. Lately, we have been talking about the car. He said, I'm happy about that, and I'm happy with the team, and there has never been a reason to leave. Now, Verstappen is contractually able to leave if Marko loses his position. We know that. That was a clause that got put in supposedly without the knowledge of Christian Horner, and the driver was instrumental in keeping the Austrian in place when it emerged at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix in March that his position was very much under threat. And he's not believed to have the same freedom in the event of Newey leaving, but he would regard the departure as, a major loss, wouldn't you? The best designer, the man that designed all of your championship winning cars, gone. Now, Mercedes, as we said, are openly courting Verstappen, and presumably the whole grid is going to be openly courting, I imagine Adrian Newey. I mean, is this man going to leave? Who is he going to go to? I mean, that's the thing. It could be absolute chaos in Red Bull, and we haven't seen with the end of it. And this is why. If you look at one of, I think, Mark Priestley's latest videos, which I'm going to get into right now. I'm not going to share the whole video. That would be really mean. But I thought there's something really specific he said, which I think is really interesting. Okay, I'm just going to press play, and here we go. Hopefully, you should be able to hear it.
Contract, by the way, at Red Bull, but there is a lot more going on at Red Bull. All of the upset, all of the controversy at that team hasn't gone away. The stuff around Christian Horner is still bubbling away in the background, and I absolutely believe is going to come to the surface again in a fairly big way. Watch this space. But that is an appeal that's happening with the allegations against Christian Horner. That story is going to run, and some of the details that I've heard are going to be pretty extreme and are going to come out and are going to really shake up that organisation. And I think that inside the team there is a lot of disgruntled personnel. There are a lot of people that are not happy with that whole situation. They just want it brought to a close, they want it sorted, and at the moment it's rumbling on and seems like it's going to rumble on for quite a while. Now that will definitely include Max Verstappen and notably Jos Verstappen in terms of not being happy. So there is definitely still a possibility that Max Verstappen may choose to leave that team. You can obviously argue that why on earth would he want to go to a Mercedes at the moment that's struggling so badly, and that is a real fair point. But 2026 is a brand new set of rules and regulations, particularly centred around engine, and we know how good Mercedes were in dealing with the last set of regs.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. And he says, obviously, there's more to come. There's a very good chance that Mark Priestley, being obviously, I think he commentated on the Chinese Grand Prix for the BBC, he is very likely to know much more than us. But also, the Sun's reporting something which I think is quite interesting in relation to Adrian Newey. And as the BBC reports, it's this whole Newey scandal that has been the first lighting of the candle for Adrian Newey to leave, so to speak. Is it the straw that broke the camel's back? I mean, let's be fair, we could just do so many of them. But anyway, moving on. So the woman at the centre of the Christian Horner sexting scandal, the Sun says, has been grilled by investigators. She's been quizzed after contesting the findings of the original investigation when her complaint against the Red Bull team boss was dismissed. So this unnamed woman who has been suspended, and remember, she was suspended the day before International Women's Day, PR blunder by Red Bull. Okay, they felt they needed to suspend her, but then the question is, why didn't you suspend Horner? I'm sure they have their reasons, whether you agree with them or not. So she got suspended from her job at the team's UK headquarters, and has challenged the independent report into her claims. The new KC-led, that's a King's Counsellor, previously Queen's Counsellor, but now King's Counsellor internal probe is expected to last until mid-May, sources have said. And a source has said the KC leading the appeal process has hoped to interview her sooner, but there was an unavoidable delay. A lot of work has gone into the appeal already, but her evidence will obviously form, as you'll understand, a substantial part of that new investigation, and it's important to get it right, the source said. Her latest testimonial could result in investigators wanting to speak to the F1 chief, Christian Horner, who, as we know, is married to Jerry Horner, or formerly Joey Hallowell, the Spice Girl, Ginger Spice. Now, it is possible Christian may be asked further questions in light of anything new she has to say, the source said. He has cooperated fully throughout and will continue to do so. Now, this could, though, potentially reopen old wounds, old wounds as old as the beginning of the season, a few months, for Horner and his wife, as they attempt to move on from this drama. Now, the woman originally accused Horner of inappropriate behaviour back in February as the bombshell accusations rocked the world. She at least rocked the F1 world, but it was on the front of the tabloid newspapers. So she claims he sent her hundreds of sexually suggestive text, and at the end of February these alleged texts from Horner were leaked to journalists and F1 bosses. Horner has always denied the claims of inappropriate behaviour and described the text leaks as anonymous speculation from unknown sources, albeit I think the important thing here, he's not denied that the texts are true, the leaked texts are true. He's not said no. I mean, there are pictures in there, and there are things that you could argue are sexually suggestive. And I imagine in many companies, assuming, once again, we are assuming those WhatsApp messages, the leaked WhatsApp messages, were true, and we do not know that at this time. They could be completely made up. Red Bull and Christian Horner aren't stating either way. You gotta wonder, in most professional environments, that would not be good for Christian Horner if that were true, or the boss sending those texts to someone that was working underneath them. So the reasons allegedly given to her. So the woman on the 7th of March, the woman was suspended, as we know from Red Bull HQ, amid claims that her honesty was called into question. Now, the reasons given to her were that she appeared dishonest owing to inconsistencies in the evidence that she had provided, and she went on to file a grievance with the FIA and its ethics committee, and that's according to a source. That's again been reported. Then they revealed she has not been allowed to see the whole of the report, which cleared Horner, and has no clarity as to why the inquiry reached its decision. I mean, think about that. She's not been allowed to see this report. The same report that potentially led to her suspension. So even when she got suspended, the source is saying that she wasn't allowed to see the report. I mean, what? Now, the woman was also said to have been disappointed and unsupported by Red Bull. Now, Jerry, who partied at Beckham's 50th of the weekend, is standing by her husband and has done the entire time. Horner has saluted his phenomenally supportive wife throughout the investigation, has made it clear he wanted to draw a line under the scandal as soon as the final decision was declared. Alas, it didn't happen, did it? And I think the Sun here have got quite an interesting timeline in relation to everything that's happened. I could probably share it, but I don't know if it's going to be too big. Oh no, okay, yeah. Here we go. Let's just quickly share. Let's just share the screen there. There we go. There's the happy couple. So it's not going to zoom anymore. So on the February the 5th, a Dutch newspaper reports that Red Bull female employees made serious allegations of inappropriate controlling behaviour about Horner and the parent company. Next up, Horner is quizzed for 9 hours by the lawyer hired by Red Bull to investigate. February the 15th, he denies the allegations and says they are a distraction for the team. Again on the February the 15th, F1 says it hopes the matter will be clarified at the earliest opportunity after a fair and thorough process. 26th of Feb, Red Bull's engine partner Ford says it's increasingly frustrated by the team's handling of the complaint. February 28th, Horner is cleared of all wrongdoing. The employee said to have the right of appeal. At that point, we all thought it was going to be over, but no. February 29th, Horner says he's pleased that the investigation is over. February 29th, the WhatsApp pictures are leaked to, well, what ended up being the whole world, but initially to just journalists and F1 employees. Horner refuses to comment on March the 1st on what he calls anonymous speculation from unknown sources. March the 2nd, Horner and wife Jerry are pictured hand in hand as Red Bull's Max Verstappen wins the Bahrain Grand Prix. Horner says before the race, "It's been very testing for my family, but we are very strong and our focus is on the race." March the 3rd, Verstappen's dad Jos claims Red Bull is in danger of being torn apart if Horner stays in the job, but he denies being the source of the WhatsApp leak, saying it can't go on the way it is, it would explode. He is playing the victim when he is the one causing the problems. Now, March the 6th, Verstappen sides with his dad in the row. March the 7th, Horner says he wants to draw a line under the scandal and hails Jerry's support, his wife, as Red Bull suspends the female employee. Now, Horner, on March the 15th, the Horner accuser allegedly launches an appeal against the investigation that saw the Red Bull chief cleared. On March the 17th, Horner, Helmut Marko and Jos Verstappen agreed to a public ceasefire, and then just over a month later, the female accuser gets quizzed by investigations over claims. We said it hadn't ended. I kind of hoped it was. I kind of hoped, okay, that's it, no more. We can talk about racing. Alas, no. Result, Adrian Newey potentially leaving the team. A source, and I think once again, when the BBC reports it, potentially can happen. Stay tuned. For all this news and more motorsport news, please send us a subscribe. This is not over. We may well be reporting about it again tomorrow. Who knows? Or maybe even later this evening. We'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much.